Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Karaleise. How you guys doing? I'm just getting set up for the start of the Global BA Stand-Up. We're going to have it on our Google Meet. So if you haven't signed up, you can go to karaleise.com, and where it says Global BA Stand-Up, then you can click on the link. It'll take you to a page. You just fill in your email and some information, and then we will send you the invite. So if you want to participate, you want to ask your question, that's where you go to do that. I like to do lives when I can talk to people. I like to do lives where people can ask me questions. I don't like to do lives where it's just me talking. So I'll probably learn how to do that soon. But for now, I like to have the interaction. So if you're joining and you're going to hear a number of conversations that we're going to be having, you want to participate in those conversations, then go to karaleise.com, go to Global BA Stand-Up link from the menu, and from there, you'll be able to get the link to join. So I'm about to join the meeting now. We have a few people already in the call. We're having it on our Google Meet. So now you know how to join. But if not, just come on over. Let's sit and talk about business analysis. We're talking about the career today. We're talking about how can you excel in the career? What can we do to improve our careers? So I'm looking forward to a very lively discussion. It'll be for probably an hour. So hopefully you can stay with us for the hour. And yeah, let's get started. Look at that. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome. This is our March edition of the Global BA Stand-Up. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to see y'all. Can y'all put in the chat where y'all are joining in from? I would like to know where everybody is. This is the Global BA Stand-Up, so I want to see how global we are. So put in the chat where you guys are watching from or joining from. Let's see. I see some familiar faces already. Obiora, Falone. Falone, I got your email for the resume. I'm about to respond. We've got Annie in the house. Good. Juliet. Let's see who else we have here. Gary Smith, welcome. JF, Juliet, Tommy. Thank you for joining, guys. I appreciate that. And let's see if anybody put anything in the chat. Inglewood, California, awesome. Dublin, Ireland, nice, awesome. Yes, I'm very happy to see you guys here. Faloni says, okay, thank you, because I thought I was sending email to the wrong address. No, I saw it come in. I just haven't had a chance to look at it yet. You know, I have to spend time on your thing, girl. I got to make sure I give you the good advice, right? So, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to get started. I know a lot of people might still be trying to join. And if you're on the live and you haven't joined yet, you can go to karaleise.com and get the link to the invite. This is something we do every single month. We've been doing this since 2024. And what we do is we meet just to talk about the career, right? We want to talk about our role and our job as a business analyst, and also for people who are new to the field, who don't know what we do and are looking for a space to kind of ask questions, to find out if this is a career for them, to know what it's like working in the field. Because a lot of times I find that they just see a title on a job description, right? And they see some tasks that they need to do, but nobody really understands what does it mean to be a BA day to day. And even though you do your courses, your boot camps, it's always short. Like when you go to college, what they teach you is often very much different from the actual world of work. And a lot of us didn't get the chance to really learn about the career until you get it, right? And most people have the challenge of how do you get in if you haven't had a chance to learn how to do it? So it's a chicken and egg. How do I start? Because for me to start, they need me to have experience. But how can I get the experience if you don't give me a chance? So like, how do I get in? And so this forum allows people who are new to have a chance to learn about it before they get in, to see if it really is a fit for them. And if you got in already and you're like, I don't know how to do this. This is different from what I was told. It's different from what I saw in the job description, different from what I was told in my boot camps. Okay, now I'm freaking out. This is also a space where you can join and you can ask a question. So we are live, but I'm live on a different device. So everybody in the meeting, feel free to ask a question. Your names and information is not being shared. Okay, just your voice. So it also provides a little bit of security so you can be comfortable asking a question and know that it's not going to be like everybody won't be able to see you and know who you are. So it's okay. So all right, we see a few more people join. We have people from the UK. Glad to join. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining. Happy about that. If you're just joining, put in the chat where you're joining from. I like to see the variety of countries that are represented here. That's always good. And let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear, right? If you have any audio issues, let me know as well. All right. So, and on the live, we have Tien. Hi, Tien. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I normally start off with like, this is a stand-up, right? So we really have stand-ups regularly in the real world of work, especially if you're working in an agile environment. You typically have your stand-ups every day. Most people have it every day, and it's for 15 minutes. I've found that most of my jobs, we've kind of extended to 30 minutes. So it's really 30 minutes, and then sometimes we have a 15-minute parking lot just for the people who need to discuss. But again, Agile is very open. You can change, you can adapt, you can do what works for you. Welcome, Phyllis. Phyllis is here. I've seen her in a number of the other ones. Thank you for joining, Phyllis. So this is what a stand-up is. And for those of you who already have a job, you know what I'm talking about. So in this stand-up, we do every month. We just talk about business analysis topics. We normally like to start off with the people who are in the most like urgent, dire need of help. Those are the ones who are looking for a job, who are in the job hunt. And also the ones who are thinking about becoming a BA, right? You have another job, you're in another field, but then you're like, I think I could do business analysis. I think I have the skills. I think I'm doing some of it already in my current role. I'm talking to people, I'm discussing with customers, I'm writing reports. I feel like I'm already doing it, but I just don't have the title. So let me join to see what it is, and then I could help make a better decision, right? So the people who are transitioning are in the thought of transitioning and thinking about that, and the people who are looking for a job, we normally start with those first. And then we talk to the people who already have a job. Hey, welcome, Adrian. Adrian is here. Marinika is here. I hope I'm not saying it wrong. And the people who have a job. So for people who have a job, we want to know what some of the challenges that you're having in your current role, any questions that you can ask, any best practices that you've done that you found that could be helpful for others to know. We want to discuss that. So we both sets of people benefit, the people who are looking for a job and the people who already have a job. So think about those things. And we're going to have an open discussion today. It's hopefully will last for around an hour, so I have to drop at the top of the hour. But this is what we normally do, right? And then we also have an idea board, which I'm not sure if I'll be able to go into today. So if you put stuff on the idea board, you may have to just say it or put it in the chat. So our idea board is a place of people who may not want to verbalize what their problems are. And we normally share the link, and you can just add your ideas as cards on the idea board. So that's the format that we typically have for those of you who are new. I see a lot of new faces. So I wanted to welcome you again and just give you a format for what we do in this Global BA Stand-Up every single month. And we have it again on the first Monday of every month. So once you register on the website, you don't have to keep registering every month. You can just save that invite and then you just join. And that's how we do it. All right. So there you have it. That's the prelude. So I hope you came with your questions, because I came with answers, and there are others on the call that can answer as well. So let me open the floor up to you guys. Is there anybody in here who is in the job hunt that have questions about just finding a job as a business analyst? Or anybody who doesn't even know what a business analyst does, and this is your first time, and you're like, okay, can you tell me a little bit about your job hunt so far, and how has it been going? No? Nobody in the call has any questions about the job hunt? That's interesting. That's very interesting. All right. Well, I will tell you what I've noticed so far, for those of you who are shy. You missed the question? Okay, let me repeat the question. The question is and sorry, I was distracted by a message I just got, so I may have had a word salad there. What I was asking was if anybody in this call has any questions about the job hunt for finding a job as a business analyst. Or even if it's not a question, like what has been your experience in the job hunt, and what are some of the things that you just want to share with the group, if anything? Yes, go ahead, Chris Santos. You can put your hands up, guys. I can see it if you put your hands up. Go ahead, Chris Santos.
Hey, Kara. Good morning and good to see you. Thank you for the platform. So I just tell you that it's been pretty tough. Yeah, I tell you, especially in this part of the world where you have to actually look everywhere for it, try to apply as much as possible for these roles. And so I'll tell you a peculiar challenge I have. Yeah, I'm not sure if everyone has the same challenge. It's about recruiters ghosting you, right? So they're gonna put up the openings, and you're gonna do your bit to send in your applications and all of that, and that's fantastic. And that would just be the end. They would just go missing in silence. You're gonna reach out to them as but as soon as possible. And they'll just tell you that, oh, this we are still working on this, and the working on it is going to take forever. You won't get to hear from them anytime soon. So it's really been tough. Yeah, it's really been tough. And sometimes you just you might just have one interview session with them, and afterwards. Um, and afterwards, you might not have to hear from them. And the funny thing is that you would you would get to meet a couple of people who had actually been on the same process, and nobody tends to hear anything. So you just wonder, how did they feel in the role? I mean, there's no transparency in the process, so I just feel it's just an issue, but I don't know if it happens to a lot of us here. But it's just a particular issue that I've actually come across with. Yeah,
Yeah,
a
well,
bit of a challenge for me.
yeah, well, thank you, Chris Santos. That's awesome. Does anybody here have that similar experience? Just leave a reaction if you have had a similar thing of being ghosted by the Labastic says yes. Tommy says yes. Okay. Yeah, I do think that there are some ghost jobs out there. I think that sometimes there are different reasons why they do this. Part of it could be, and this is something I've seen, which I don't know how frequent this is, but sometimes the companies are going through evaluation, like they're going to be sold, or some investor wants to look into buying them or something, and they may just put jobs up to show that they're growing. Like, we have all these openings, and we're going to be doing all this fancy stuff to really inflate their worth. So sometimes that could be the case. Sometimes they may have internal candidates that they eventually give it to, and the job goes away. But one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if anybody has noticed this, but, and I said this in one of my later videos. I had a video that I posted this weekend that I talked about this, which is, I've found that when I get contacted by a recruiter who works for the company, like they are an employee of the company, that the process goes better, and they tend to reach back out to me and to say, hey, this role, we already filled it, but we thought you were a good candidate, blah blah blah. This has been a while now. I haven't been in the job market for a while, but that happened, right? And I don't know if it's because the third party recruiters, they're just in the busy work of finding somebody to fill another company's role. So they're just the middleman trying to shuffle people from here into another company. So if it doesn't work out, they just move on to the next person. They don't have a vested interest. I don't know if this is all of them, but I just, in my personal experience, the ones that actually work for the company have a better response rate and are more willing to get back to you and let you know what happened, as opposed to just moving on and you never know what became of that interview. Right? Go ahead, Elizabeth, if you want to add to that.
I don't know if can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So to your point, Karaleise, what I have experienced in the past is that there are lots of headhunters out there chasing the same job when they have no inside connections at all, So they get your CV, they get your resume just to show their boss that they're doing something. They're keeping themselves busy, when actually they don't even understand the role. They don't even know who the hiring manager is. They have no connections at all. Just like you said, when you're dealing with the recruiter who is working for the company, they know the role, they know the hiring manager, they can give you that kind of feedback. Lots of these headhunters, they are fresh out of school, they're just doing busy work, to keep themselves busy at their desk, and they have no concept at all what's happening. And I feel sad for them too at the same time, because really they are so far away at the bottom of the ladder where the job is. You know, they either working at a third party to a head recruiter somewhere else. They don't even know. Some of them are calling from as far away as India, and they're trying to hire somebody for UK or for Canada or USA, and that's what's really going on. It's not a consolation, but don't take it personally if they're ghosting you, because nothing is really happening. That's how I've seen it, really. I could be wrong, but
I tend to agree, Elizabeth. Thank you for that insight. I tend to agree. I think there are more people trying to find somebody to fit like fewer and fewer roles, that they're inundated by more, and they have to show that they're doing work too. If you're hired to find, you're a headhunter, then you have to find heads, right? You don't have to respond to them. You don't have to give them feedback. You have to treat them like human beings whose lives are going to depend on this job. So they tend to just have this volume approach, as opposed to really seeing the person as a human being who is looking for this role. So I think, what can we do though? Part of it is the problem that, yeah, we have people like that, but what can we do? I think one thing we can do, maybe if we could try to directly apply to the companies where we know what the companies are, because sometimes they don't even tell you what company it is. They just tell you there's a job and this is the salary and this is what they want you to do. They don't tell you where. But whereas if you can find the company, I would say apply directly to the company. But the only challenge is that some of these companies, they have some ridiculous forms. I remember when I was in the job hunt, especially whenever I saw a form that was from Talio. I don't know if they still use that Talio. Oh my goodness, the form would be so long. You'd be spending hours just filling it out, and you don't know if you're gonna even get a call. It was so brutal. But sometimes you just have to go through the pain. So if you can apply directly to the companies, I think that would be great. If you can reach out to the recruiter, like if you see the job on LinkedIn, you can reach out directly to the recruiter and kind of just introduce yourself, see if they're willing to respond even back to you. Some of them don't, because they have so many people reaching out to them. But those are two things I think we can do to try to avoid being ghosted. But it's really a problem. And I'm glad you brought it up, Chrysanthus. But it's something that it's a little bit that we can do to control it. We just have to not take it personally, like Elizabeth said. But this is definitely a challenge that I can see everybody having when you have ghost jobs or inexperienced or uncaring recruiters that are just not responding to you. All right. Thank you for that point. Anybody else about the job hunt and any challenges that you're having there? We have a question on the live, but this is more about doing the job. But I'll get to you, Tien. I see your question. I'll get to you when we talk about people who are already in the role. By the way, we have Samuel from Kenya and Love from Russia. Russia, that's nice. I haven't had a lot of Russians in a long time, so I'm happy that you're here too. All right. Any other questions about starting your career and getting a job as a BA? Does anybody want to ask? Okay. All right. Well, I guess we're all good here. So Jessica put in the chat, yes, I just completed a boot camp a few months ago, and I think I'm having a hard time consolidating my experience and past HR work. And I think I don't know if I should apply as a junior analyst first. Sorry, can't talk at work. Yeah, a lot of people are at work and you can't talk. I forgot to say that. And that's okay. We're thinking about moving the time, by the way, from 10 a.m. to 12, just because maybe more people will be at lunch. And I'm talking about Eastern Standard Time. I know you guys are in different time zones. So if anybody agree with moving it 2 hours later, let me know and we could change it for the next one for April, right? Because I know a lot of people at work and they can't talk. It's more going to be a listening in. But if it's maybe 2 hours later, you might be able to chat if you're getting a break. Okay, Faloni, go ahead. Oh, Swathi is here. Welcome, Swathi. Faloni, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. We can hear you now.
Do you?
Yeah, we can
No,
hear
no,
you.
I know. I'm trying to find the word because it just escaped my brain.
Mental fog. Gosh.
Can you give me tips on? I'm just gonna have to say the word memorizing. I know that's not the word you want me to use, but it's escaping me the other word I'm trying to use. What we learned from the videos, pretty much.
What do you mean, like in the interviews? I'm not sure.
No, when we're watching when we're watching videos on how to do certain things on your channel, like, since it's a lot of videos, it's a lot of info. Do you have any tips on memorizing some of this stuff?
Oh, so I think that if you just watch videos back to back to back to back to back, yes, it's great and you can soak it in, but you got to practice what you're learning. So I think doing the case studies is a great way to put everything you're learning from the videos or from your courses or your boot camps to practice. And I have case studies that are from real world projects on my website, and from there you're able to practice some of the things. Like, for example, if it calls for you to do a process flow and it gives the scenario, okay, you practice how to do process flows. If it asks you to write a BRD, you practice how to write BRD. It asks you to write a user story, you practice how to write a user story. So it's not enough, if you've not worked in the field, it's not enough to just watch the videos and say, well, that felt great, I think I learned something. You don't know if you really learned until you have to apply it. And that's the shock that people have when they get the job, that they've been learning all this stuff and they're probably been doing projects that are too easy. One of the concerns I have about a lot of the boot camps and the courses is that they tell you too much. They tell you the problem. They tell you what you're trying to do. They give you the dates. They give you too much information. In the real world, you don't know any of that stuff. You show up and there's a project and it solves the problem, right? And you don't even know where to start. You don't know who to talk to. You have no idea. So you have to build that muscle before you get the job, to be in this total world of chaos. Like, everything is ambiguous. What are you talking about? What problem? Who has this problem? What is in scope? What's the MVP? You don't know any of this. But in your projects, they tend to tell you that so that you can have enough information to write the BRD, because sometimes they want you to pass. They want you to pass the course. They want you to feel good when you're done. They want you to have a great feeling and be motivated. But the truth is, in the real world, you're not given all that details. So the case studies I have on the website will give you real world examples with vague, ambiguous problems to solve. And you will exercise the muscle of being an analyst. You'll be able to think about it. And the good thing is, some of them you can buy the answer. So there's a document that's the answer. But you can always see the problem. The problems are all free. Some of them, the problem and the answer is free, so you get the whole thing. But some of them, the problem is explained. And then if you want to see the document that's the answer, you can go get that for like $15. It's not very expensive. But at least you always see the problem and you know how to think. You know what kinds of problems you'll be faced in the role. And you can use the videos to help you answer that. But it's a great way for you to practice what you're learning. Does that help, Faloni? I hope I answered the question, if that was what you intended to ask.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, good. Okay, Elizabeth, you had your hand up again. Go ahead.
I have a question, I guess, in relation to having an ambiguous problem statement or hardly anything. Do you have a list, or are you thinking about creating a list of possible questions that a BA could ask stakeholders to kind of articulate or dig a little bit deeper into understanding, what the business problem is?
Yeah, I have several videos where I talk about this, like at length, like how to elicit requirements, what kind of requirements to elicit, how to deal with stakeholders, how to deal with difficult stakeholders, all of this stuff. But I also, in my consult, I have a consultation that we talk about the VA role. And a part of that, I go through, here are some of the questions that you should be asking or thinking about for different scenarios. Like if it's you're building a software that has a UI, here are some questions to ask about UI. For example, you may get a beautiful design, right? And you're like, oh, this is great. But did you consider, what if there's no data? Because sometimes they give you a design with a table full of data, but what should it look like if there is no data? You don't have that. What should it look like if there's too much data? Should you paginate? Should you lazy load? Like all of these little nuances. Do you need to have export? What's the best next step they should take? Where is that? What about timing? Is there a time component to what you're showing? All of these questions. Obviously, it differs based on the project. But I do have some of it I talk about in my videos. I do have articles on karaleise.com, but most of it where we get into real detail and training is in the consult, where we do for a consult called the New Job Game Plan. All right. Okay. So somebody here says, you're welcome, Tanzania. Somebody here says, thank you for saying that. This is about me saying you don't know what to do when you show, like you don't know all the details when you show up to the job. They say, thank you for saying that. When you show up, you don't know anything. This is helpful. It lets me know that I need to come in open and ready to learn and find what I need to know. Exactly. So they're not going to hold your hand too much. I mean, if you're in a junior role and you have other BAs, you can understudy that BA, fine, that's great for you. But a lot of the BA jobs are not junior because they expect you to come in with a level of leadership, kind of. You're owning everything, kind of. You're owning the requirements, you are responsible for delivering it. And so there's not always a lot of hand holding. And the more senior you become, the less they even tell you anything. So you show up and they're asking you, so what's your approach? What are you going to do about this? And you have to tell them how you plan to get to the end result that you're trying to get to. So that's kind of what it is a little bit. Okay, I think we've kind of transitioned into from getting a job into already having a job. And I see your hand up, Swati. I'm going to get you in a minute. But there's a question we had on the live from Tien. I hope I'm saying your name right. And he says, I have a question. I am currently doing a BA role. However, the PO asked me to do some work related to collecting estimates, doing planning, creating schedule. I'm a little bit confused about this. Does BA have to do it according to international standards? So the problem with the BA role is that, and I've I've done a video where I was ranting about this, like raving like a crazy person. It's that the BA role is starting to become like a kitchen sink where they want you to do everything and everything, even when it's not within your realm, within your context, right? They're just throwing more and more things because a lot of people don't know what a BA does. And they see it as this catch-all that everything to do with the project can land on the BA at some point, and then you find yourself doing the project manager's work, the scrum master's work. You know, you're like, why am I doing 3 people's jobs? It's amazing. So part of it is that there's overlap between the product owner and the BA. There is overlap, right? So if they want you to get estimates, if you have a scrum master, that would typically be the scrum master in conjunction with you, because you know the details of what you wrote in the user stories or the requirements. And if you're working in agile, the scrum master is managing the whole scrum process, right? So they would be the one having like the sprint planning, running that and getting the estimates for that. So it really depends on how you're doing it and what methodology you're working in. Doing the planning, creating the schedule. It seems like it's a little bit pushing you into more of a product owner or project manager kind of role. I wouldn't say it's a hard and fast role that is not a part of your job. It could be, because in my role, for example, I do a lot of that too. I run sprint planning, I do project management stuff, I create documentation that has nothing to do with BA, more like leadership stuff. But it depends. It depends on how your project is being run and how you know that the team needs support, right? I will say the majority of the time is that your deliverable is the requirements. So if you're being pulled into different directions doing all of these other things at the expense of doing the requirements, then you have a problem, because nobody else can help you with the requirements. You need to write the requirements, you need to have the documentation, you need to do the elicitation, all of that you need to do. Nobody's going to help you with that because that is definitely your job. So if you do that and then there's opportunity to help in some other place, fine, help. But if you're being pulled into all of these things so that you don't have time to do the requirements, then that's a challenge for you. That's a problem. Because when the time comes for evaluation, they're going to say, well, we didn't get the requirements, and everybody looks at you because you're responsible for that. So you really have to be careful not to be dragged into too many different things, even though you can do it and you can help them. What I would say is ask for prioritization. If they're asking you to get estimates and asking you to do project planning and scheduling, when I hear schedule, I think of capacity planning, like who's going to do what. It could be something other kind of schedule. I don't know about your situation. But I would ask for prioritization. You would say, okay, I can help you with these things, but I also have to do elicitation for this feature and that feature, and I have to write these requirements. So let me know which one is more prioritized for now. Do we need to do this urgently? But if I do that, then I'm going to be delayed on these other things, right? So being able to communicate clearly is also part of your job. Being able to say what I'm doing now as opposed to what this is going to impact is important, because they can't read your mind. And sometimes they don't know what you're working on. They know you're writing stuff, but some of us are not as transparent. And so things keep getting piled on and we just soak it up and try to do it. But then you disappoint more people because you didn't get other things done. So you have to be verbal, you have to be vocal, you have to be transparent, you have to be clear that I'm doing this now. I can get this done by XYZ date. One more thing, be very date driven about when you can deliver something, and you deliver drafts. I have a whole video on that. When you give estimates, you estimate a draft of it. I can have a draft of the BRD. I can have a draft of the backlog. I can have a draft. So they don't know they don't expect a finished thing, right? Because there's always changes. But give them some dates for the draft and then say, okay, if I pivot to do this, now the draft will be ready 2 or 3 days later or whenever, right? So now they know what's going on with you. Don't assume that they know what you're working on. Don't assume they know how much work it takes. To be honest with you, the majority of the time, leadership doesn't understand the value that you bring as a BA. When things are going well, it's a testament to you doing a good job. But the thing about when things are going well is that nobody remembers how it got to be so well, right? Because you're eliciting the requirements are clear, your documentation is clear, you're having refinement sessions, everybody knows what to build. They go into the sprint and they execute. It's beautiful, wonderful. You end the sprint and you have a retrospective and it's wonderful. But people don't always attribute that to the BA's skill to get all of these pieces together. They don't attribute it to that. So it just goes smoothly. But once it stopped going smoothly, and now they have questions about the requirements and they did it wrong and they have a bunch of bugs and all of this stuff, then they're like, we didn't have good requirements and this isn't. So when you don't do a good job, the whole team feels it, right? The test, you don't always get recognized, is what I'm trying to say. But you know you're doing a good job when everything is going smooth in terms of the requirements and the development that's happening. And if you're in an implementation project where you're just building, you're not building something, you're implementing something. If the administrators have all the configurations, right, and the testing is happening smoothly, you know you're doing a good job as a BA, right? So it's unfortunate we don't always get recognized, but if we don't do a good job, everything goes to hell, right? So you just have to be careful, because if you're getting dragged into these different areas, you may not be able to do a good job in your area, and then everything goes to crap. And then, the project goes wrong and everybody's upset. So you just have to make sure that you give them the right communication, clarification, so they know exactly what you're working on. Does anybody else here on the call have any other suggestions around this? Is anybody being asked to do a number of multiple things that may not necessarily be aligned to their BA role? Anybody want to add some color to that? No? Okay. Elizabeth, you have some more? I'm going to get to you, Swati. Just give me a second. Go ahead, Elizabeth, if that's what you want to comment on.
Sorry. I think also having a very clear template that shows who's responsible for who's accountable and who's doing what, and
Raise the
when
chart.
it goes, what's happening.
Yeah.
So they can see, whoever is on the project, all stakeholders can see what the BA is responsible for, what they're accountable for, where they're supporting, because if you do not do that in writing, it'll come back to bite you. They say, well, you promised you would do this, it hasn't been done. They say, well, this is what I'm accountable for, this is what, I'm supporting, so it has to be that clear that everyone is aligned right at the beginning of the project. So as they're pushing more work to your plate, you're saying, well, this is what I'm accountable for, this is what I'm responsible for, what do you want to prioritize? What should I take off? What should I delegate? And speak up, really, because if you don't, it's going to come back to you at the end when things fail, really.
You end up with more things on your plate than you should have in the first place, and then you get blamed for all of them not going right.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, let me go to Swati. You had your hand up for a minute. Go ahead, Swati. Welcome back, by the way. Good morning.
I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for your time, Karaleise. So here is my question. I just wanted to know how to handle this situation where, especially in waterfall methodology, where requirements are gathered up front and scope changes are generally discouraged. I mean, it's a challenging. In contrast to agile, where we do not have the ability to change the scope or add requirements in the middle of the SDLC in waterfall. So what if we come across a scenario where a specific requirement is missed, and as a business analyst, we will be called out, we'll be in forefront to take up the consequences of missing the requirement. So could you please recommend steps to take in this scenario?
Yeah, actually, I have a video which says how to avoid missing requirements.
I
And
understand. Yeah,
it's definitely. Go ahead.
mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I've seen that video, Carolise, but see, sometimes there might be some situations where we can miss a specific requirement, even though how hard we work on the requirements. Maybe
Of course.
it might be because the stakeholders are not aware of sharing that information, assuming that that might not be something which is necessary or fitting to the set of requirements. What if something like that we come
No,
across?
no, I
And
agree with you. So this is the classic problem of waterfall projects. This is
that's
always
true.
going to happen in waterfall because
Yeah, exactly.
it's linear, right? I got to do all of my requirements up front, all of my analysis up front, hand over to developers for them to develop kind of in silo. They're finishing, hand off to the QA for them to go test everything, and then you go to the
Mhm.
maintenance. It's a challenge with the methodology. It just breeds problems because you things change. They're
Yeah,
going the only constant is change. Like it's going to change. And so
that's
it
true.
doesn't allow you to adapt. And one of the pains, and I remember these days with hurt in my heart
Mm-hmm.
because I used to write these elaborate BRDs, elaborate pages and pages, and then we get into the actual discussion, and then something changes, and you're like, "No, we don't do that anymore," and I got to go back and rewrite everything again. And then when requirements are like tied together, you make a change up here, down here, no changes. No, you basically spend a lot of time just writing. You're just
That's true.
writing and writing. And then we had a team that was all the way over there in Slovenia, that English was not their main
Mm-hmm.
language, even though they spoke fairly good English. But they got some of the stuff got lost in translation, got lost in the nuances of it. So poor guys are over there trying to read my BRD to make sense of it. And they're in a different time zone too, so that, I'm sleeping when they're working, and they're just building what they understand. And when by the time we get to demo, well, that's not what I meant, and that's not what we thought we were going to get. And this is what I clearly said in the requirements. How did you build that? That's what they understood.
That's
So
true.
this is always a problem with waterfall, and this is the very reason why agile was invented, right? This is the
Sorry to interrupt you, Carly. So
yeah.
I just wanted to share this specific scenario so that the people around here can understand what exactly happened in my case.
Mm-hmm.
So we were building this longitudinal database with a specific gold standard data format. And the output of this is to generate the files, annual files. We generate two batches. One is for the monthly batch jobs, which pull the data on a monthly basis into the tables. And the second job is to create the annual output files. And we are supposed to share these output files to a specific location. And there are two pathways for this. We need to share these output files also with the analytics team where they generate the dashboards. Okay, so we have, knowing this requirement, I've been including the analytics team since the beginning of my scoping sessions and also up until the review of my final BRD. But now, once we have the output files in hand, all the development phase has been completed, testing has been completed, UAT has been done, and we have the output files in hand now. Now the requirement has changed where they're asking
That's
to
right.
have the monthly
That's right.
data to update the dashboards,
That's
which
right.
is not possible because we run the batches to load the data monthly, but we do not run the batches to generate the output files monthly. And unfortunately, for security reasons, this analytics team do not have access to the database that we have created. And only way we could share them is in the output file form. And the operations team, who are generating these output files on an annual basis, are now refusing to take an extra step to generate. We have the capability to generate the monthly files, but every time we generate that batch job on a monthly basis, it will pull out all 12 monthly files. I hope you understand.
Yes,
We
you're
have the
trying.
data only for that specific month, but all the remaining months will be empty.
I don't know how many people got that, but I got it because I'm working on batches right now, so I'm very familiar with what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah.
So basically,
Maybe
you
you could.
generate this data, you have it as a FTP upload somewhere, and you send it over to your analytics team. But now they're
Yes.
saying, hey, we don't want everything, we want it by month by month by month. And the workaround that you've uncovered is for them to do some change, but they don't have the access or not able to do that change. So it's tough because the requirement should have been there from the beginning that you needed it monthly, right? And that's what I'm saying. I was saying to Elizabeth, in the list of things that we like to ask for, there are common questions that we have to cover. One of them is it time based? What is the time factor? How frequently do you need this thing? And if we miss that in the beginning, now we have a lot of problems going down the road, right? So you just have to find a workaround. There has to be a workaround, or you have to go back to the project and start over and generate these files again month by month, which it's either two things. Either we add more time or we add more money. So you can add more people too, but the people take a time to learn how to do stuff. But the truth is, there has to be a workaround. They're either going to take the entire batch for the entire period, and then they do some calculations over it to split it up by month, or you guys go back to the drawing board and build it monthly again, and that's going to add time to the project, and they're going to have to pay for that. So it's just looking at, these are the options. Normally when I have these kind of changes, we typically have a change request log, where this is the change that you're asking for at this stage in the project, and then we do a kind of estimation. How big is this effort? Is this a large, extra large? We can t-shirt size it. How big is it? And then based on how big it is, then you can talk to your project manager, like how much it's going to cost you if we have to go back and do all of this stuff and retest it again and do all the things that we've already done. And then you can present that to the leadership team to say, okay, we have this new requirement that came in just now. This is the estimate of how long it's going to take us to do and the size of it. It's a big change. It's going to cost an additional whatever, thousands and thousands of dollars or whatever, but we can get it done within this time frame. If we don't do this, then this is the consequence. You're going to have this file with all this data, and you're not going to be able to get it. What's the worst that can happen if you get it without the monthly, right? So you have to do that kind of analysis and present that to leadership for them to know which direction to go. Is it better for them to spend the extra money up front and get it done right? Or would they have the operations team just constantly be in a state of fixing and hacking to get it to work and potentially have wrong data? So that's probably what you have to do. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to add a point here, Karaleise. See, we have been including the executive team in the initial JAG sessions as well. What happened is that time they were not much involved into these dashboards, because the first priority is the first pathway where we share these output files to a specific client. But now once they are visualizing the dashboards, they are so into it because they can see the benefits of having those dashboards. Now they are stepping into the conversations, asking us to update it monthly so that they can have up-to-date information on the dashboards. But that's what I have told them, that this definitely that is not that we can accommodate immediately, and we have to create, as you told us, a change request to accommodate this specific requirement in order to fulfill the business need that came up.
Yeah, I would be careful how I say it though, because sometimes leadership doesn't like to hear no.
Yes.
I sometimes like to be very suave with the leadership, We can do anything. Okay, we can do anything you want, but it's the time and the money to do it. If you're willing to do the time, we can do it this way and that way, and it's going to take this long and this effort if we do it this way. So I like to give them options and then let them choose. Because if you start off by saying that you can't do it, then they start feeling like, oh my God, you can't do something. So it's just the language, right? The language.
But it definitely needs a lot of experience to do, to proactively react to such
Correct. And
scenarios.
I see Elizabeth put here is scope creep. Yes, scope creep is a thing whether you're in waterfall or in agile. The only difference is that agile I can adapt better because I can now plan for the next sprint, okay? And I can change and I can add stuff. It's not like everything was done up front and it's all interconnected. But yeah, this is a common thing, Swati, that we have. And sometimes when you miss really vital requirements, it's such a pain. It's such a pain, and you feel like, oh my goodness, how did we miss that? But it's not a ding on you as a BA, even if you weren't there in the beginning. I know your project there was some leadership change and so on, but it can happen to anybody. It happens to me anyway. Still, I have things in place to avoid it happening, and I've seasoned myself enough to know what questions to ask. But after seeing it over time, you start knowing exactly what kind of things to make sure you cover. But it can still happen. All right, cool. So
thank you, Karaleise.
You're welcome, Swati. I always enjoy you being here. You always have some of the most interesting questions.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. All right, so let me see what's going on over here. So Aisha says, I just want to say that thank you for all your resources. My company recently opened a position for a junior BA role. I've completed my second interview and I'm now waiting to see if I got the job. You know what? I celebrate people even when they're in the interviewing stage. And I take up my little gong here. You might not hear it on the thing because Google tends to blurb out the noise. But I celebrate you. I celebrate you for going this far and starting your journey down the road. And I hope that you get the job. And if you do, reach out to me and let me know. So congratulations, Aisha, on actually taking that first step into landing a job as a junior BA. And there's not a lot of junior BA roles out there, like I was saying earlier. So if you can get a junior BA job, that is definitely good for you. All right. Is there anybody else here that has anything to do or any other questions around the current job that you have? Any questions on your current project? Go ahead, Phyllis.
Well, hi, Karaleise.
Hi.
Thank you for hosting these wonderful events for us.
You're
just a quick
welcome.
one. So I'm working on a project at the moment. We're getting a new system in, and we're at the stage now where we'll soon be getting the tender has gone out, and we're expecting to have about 5 suppliers, 5 vendors, and we're inviting them to do a second product demo, which will be a part of the evaluation process.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm currently working on a document for the evaluators. So whoever will be doing the evaluation of that demo or the several demos that we might be doing, just to make sure that they capture or to understand what it is that they need to look out for in the evaluation process.
Okay.
And we've also got a list of questions that we would like the supplier to demo for us. But I had a chat with my product lead, and he was saying that we should be asking the suppliers to demo like certain criteria, like the ease of use of design of the product, the design quality, the system's responsiveness and speed, or customization and flexibility, system administration, and key features of the effectiveness of the product. Just because it's going to be just a short time that we have, so we want to capture some of the main important keys, the main important points, and we don't want to waste their time. So I suggested that we just ask the suppliers to sort of show us some scenarios, like a walkthrough of certain journeys, and be a bit more prescriptive rather than just let them have a rein to say, this is what we have and this is what we think you should be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you think that's a good suggestion, to sort of tell them what we want them to see rather than them telling us or showing us what they think we want to see? Because I have that discussion, and it's a bit of a sore point at the moment, because my project lead wants us to sort of give the suppliers the freedom to decide how to best highlight these qualities rather than directing them towards a scriptive set of actions. And so I'm sort of torn, because I think we should be sort of guiding them to say, show us how you do this particular customer journey, to show us how easy it will be for the potential users to navigate around the system and do this end-to-end process.
Okay, so this is the second demo?
Yes.
So you've had a first demo where they've walked through the entire product before?
Not all of them,
Okay.
because a few of the suppliers have now come on board. That was in the initial stage when we were just doing the options appraisals. So we've had a few more suppliers who have now shown interest, and we've now gone out to tender officially now.
And I would assume that you've already done an RFI where you set the information that you want to make sure that their product can do, and you've
Yes.
already gotten the responses about what they can do and what they can't do, right? You've already
Yes.
Okay. So I think I have a video. Surprise, surprise. I have a video called How to Select a Vendor. It's one of my first videos I did on my channel. So there's a lot of details that I think you could benefit from that video. But I also think that you might want to do kind of both things.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that video, I talk about the fact that sometimes they show you things that you didn't know, and you're like, oh, that's what you do, or oh, you didn't do that. Like, they can expose things that you wouldn't know to ask in the demo. but at the same time, you want to make sure that they cover the journeys that you're looking for as well. So if it's a time issue, I think this is a very important decision. So you shouldn't really box yourself in for time and worry about wasting their time. You're paying them money. Okay, you're going to be signing contracts with them for their products. So you need to be very sure that this is the tool that you want to invest your company's products with, because you guys are going to be in contract for however long. It doesn't make sense to say, I don't want to waste their time, so let me make it short. No, you get them in that room and you ask them to show you some specific journeys that you know you need to make sure you understand very well. And then on the course of doing that, they might just open it up and say, okay, let me see anything else that you guys want to share. Or, maybe in the course of showing a specific journey, there's some other things that you notice that you want to ask about. So I think you need to have a two-pronged approach. One is to ensure you cover the journeys that you're most interested in, but also give them the freedom to show you how their product works. Because there might be little gotchas here and there that you wouldn't have known to ask, but until they show it to you, then you realize, oh, because I'm telling you, some of these enterprise systems, you would swear that they cover these basic functionalities, and you'd be so surprised at what people are out there selling for millions of dollars, right? There's some simple things that they don't do, some integrations they don't have. The way they do something is so many clicks deep. There's so many little things that you're not going to know because they're not going to tell you. You have to uncover it. So I think it needs to be both. You can let them know that these are the journeys we want to see specifically, and then build in some buffer time for more discussion to show other things that you might be interested in. And make sure you ask them open-ended questions too. Don't be too prescriptive, because you want them to have the freedom to show you how it works and the different options. There may be different ways to get to it, right? So you want to make sure that you give them that freedom, and you can really see what you're getting. Because I tell you, salespeople, oh my goodness. I worked in sales for a long time, sales organization where I was the BA supporting the sales effort. And they can sell what we don't even build. We don't even have it in the product and they've already sold it. Okay? So believe me, account managers and salespeople, and they know how to gloss over things and switch the demo up so you don't really notice things. So you got to give them a freedom to show you some things. Obviously, you want to cover the things that you want for your product, but make it two-pronged and extend the time. It's okay to make it longer, or even come back for a third demo. It's okay.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, because I do have a buffer time for questions at the end of the demo as well. So hopefully, that's great. Yeah, I like the two-pronged approach. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Go ahead.
I would also suggest Phyllis to request references from the sales team.
Exactly.
Let them give you an account that's in production, that's in progress. So, any customers that you've worked with in the past or they're working with, at least you have that confidence something is happening. Just like you said, salespeople can sell you water when you're in the middle of the ocean.
Sell water to the fishes. I've met some really talented salespeople, and I'm like, dude, we don't have it in the product. We don't even have it on the roadmap.
Because after they sign off on that contract, they're going to the next victim. They're done. They're stuck with them trying to convince the client. We don't have this, but you told us you did. And for client, when they say you told us, they mean everybody in the company. They don't care whether it was sales or product management. You're all guilty.
They pass the buck to the product team, who now have to rush and try to make it work in time for when the client goes live, and it's all a mess. So you got
get your references and make sure that they're solid. Follow up on those references, really.
That's a good one. Thank you, Phyllis, for sharing that. Okay, we're almost out of time. Oh my goodness, where did the time go? I was enjoying hanging out with you guys. I know it's almost time to come to an end. Let me look at what's on the idea board. Let's see, on our idea board, and I'm not sharing it now, but if you see the link in the chat, you can click on it. So it has what's going well, what's not going well, what's blocking you. We don't have anything blocking anybody, and we don't have anything not going well, but we do have, for what is going well, starting a new job project today. Yay! I'm gonna do my gong again, which you're not gonna hear because it's gonna. Congratulations to whoever this person is. It's anonymous, but congratulations on starting your new project for your new job. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I always feel like I need to know more. Don't want to let the team down, and they're nervous. Yes, this is the thing about being a BA, because like you're not trained like you are to be an accountant or to be a marketing person, where you kind of seen it before, so now you know which tools to use and you can go out there and do it. Like you can balance a balance sheet the same, like it's not very different from balance sheet to balance sheet, right? But with the BA role, it's like a completely unknown world. Like I don't even know what the problem is. I don't know what the product does. I don't know the people to talk to. I don't know nothing, and you got to start from there. So there's always this feeling in the pit of your stomach, like I think they're gonna find me out. They're gonna uncover that I'm a fraud. Like I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay. I want you to feel comfortable with that feeling, because it's gonna propel you to go find out. You're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel unsure, but trust me and believe that nobody else knows. It's not a test to say everybody knows and they're seeing if you will know too. Nobody knows. We're all going through this process together, hoping for the best result for the project, but we don't know if we're going to get there exactly this way. We're just going through different, approaches, seeing what works, working on it, and eventually we get there. So you will make mistakes. You will recover from those mistakes. You will feel a little weird sometimes, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. You might write user stories that are wrong. You might have bugs come out. You may have missed requirements. It's all a part of the learning process. And I find that they typically give you grace when you're starting on a new project as a BA to kind of learn about it. But you have to have your own approach for how you're going to approach it, right? You have to think about, okay, sometimes you may have to stay late and just go in the system and click around to try to learn how it works. I remember getting a job one time. It was a very complicated system, and I literally spent maybe like 2 weeks every day after work reading the entire manual cover to cover, because I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about in these meetings. All these acronyms flying over my head, and I didn't know what it was. And they were in the middle of a project, and it was so chaotic. Nobody had time to kind of stop and show me the way. You jumped in, and you just have to ride the wave while you're in. You're in the middle of the sea the first day. So you just have to find the thing that can work for you. Most people don't have it that rough. Most people have people that they can sit and talk to. The project manager may have time to sit and walk you through the project and the problem they're trying to solve, and tell you who are the main stakeholders to talk to, and you take it from there. So I have all these resources on my website, karaleise.com, on the channel, and you can get help with your project. You can come for a consult. You can watch a free videos. There's so many resources. So I think it's okay to be nervous, but you have help, right? You have help, so you're gonna do fine. Gonna be just fine. All right, we're almost out of time. Let me see if anybody else here have any questions. So Evelyn says, I currently work in tech support. Do you think it's easier for me to transition to BA? Oh yeah, I think a transition from tech support to BA is perfect, actually. I think it's a great way to switch, because in tech support, you're troubleshooting all the time. You're talking to customers all the time. You're uncovering what the real root cause is. That's just the nature of your job. So I think you already have the mindset to be analytical. You already have the mindset to identify where there's a breakdown. And you're probably creating these tickets that then get escalated and eventually land on a BA's desk, right? So you're doing the thing to get to the BA. So now you can transition to be the BA to solve it. You're going to have all that background information anyway. You have the skills to troubleshoot anyway. So I think that's a great transition, actually. So you should look into doing that. And I wish you all the best, Evelyn. All right, guys. So we only have 2 minutes left. We're at the top of the hour. Does anybody have anything last minute to say in the next 1 minute? Any quick questions I can answer before we end?
Hi, Karaleise. You spoke about the analysts you just mentioned now. What about for someone like me, coming from the PMO administrative side, and then thinking into going into BA? What advice can you give?
Oh, that's also perfect, because you're already working on projects. You're working in the project management office. You're working on admin stuff, maybe task stuff. So you're already so close to it. So being the BA is just a mind shift where you're not given tasks to do necessarily. You have to come up with what are the tasks I need to do to get it done. So it's a kind of a mental shift from being told, like, these are what I want you to accomplish, to figuring out, this is the problem I have. What should I be doing to solve it, right? So I think it's a good transition. Also, you're already kind of so close to project management. I think it'll give you great stories to tell in your interviews. And you just need to kind of learn the skills of elicitation and all the other things that we do, right? Eliciting requirements, documenting user stories, understand agile, And I think it might be easier for you too because you're so close to it already. So I would encourage you to make that transition if that's something that you want to do, right?
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
All right. Well, guys, we are at the end of our wonderful Global BA stand up. Oh my goodness. I enjoy hanging out with you guys so much. I wish I could do it more often, right? But, time and work and all this stuff. But I'm so happy that you all showed up. I'm happy for the people on the live. I'm happy for the people who joined the meeting. Thank you all for your participation. And I can't wait to see you again in our next Global BA stand up in April. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great
Bye.
day.
Bye, everybody.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
We ask questions.
Ask a question. Don't have scope creep.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys, on the live. Bye, bye.